wanted to introduce everything. Lori Knutson is both a clinical and healthcare administrator with over 25 years of dedication to the advancement of integrative healthcare. Currently, she's the corporate director of integrative health and medicine at Hackensack Meridian Health. She is also core faculty at Duke University's leadership program in integrative healthcare. Lori has co-authored several book chapters and published peer-reviewed articles, and she will be our host today. Dr. Sanjeev Chopra is professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School. He is also a best-selling author and sought-after motivational speaker. He lives in Boston. And Gina Vild is Associate Dean and Chief Communications Officer for the Office of Communications and External Relations at Harvard Medical School. She also lives in Boston. None of the information presented today constitutes medical advice. You should always check with your own healthcare professionals for medical advice concerning your own healthcare. And I'm very excited to hear and learn from Dr. Chopra and Gina about the two most important days, how to find your purpose and live a happier, healthier life. So Lori, I will turn it over to you.
Great. Well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm just absolutely thrilled to be able to be a part of this and have this dialogue with you. I'm going to show your book because I have several tabs here of information, and this book for me, just to open it up, is actually a treasure. I have been doing this work for a long time, and this concise little book is not only filled with knowledge and beauty, but action steps. And so my first question to open up the dialogue is, why did you feel this book was so important right now to write?
Well, we live at a time when people are under tremendous stress because of pressures from life, from work, from politics, from the state of the world, and they're seeking happiness. And one way to get it is living a life of purpose. And if you look at Amazon and type in happiness, there are over 263 links that appear. And that shows there's a real interest in that this book is timely.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Just to give you a little bit of background for those that are joining us, we currently have a program in integrative health and medicine, and we have 5 pillars for health and well-being. And they're simple things: sleep, activity, nutrition, resilience, and purpose. So for us, this aligns so beautifully. I wanted to ask you, there's a component in the book that really resonated for me, and I'm assuming for others as well, and that is this idea of gratitude as an anchor. Can you speak a little bit about how gratitude aligns with purpose?
Yeah, Lori, so I think Gina and I have come to the conclusion, writing this book, doing a lot of research, talking to amazing colleagues, even our students, that there are sort of 4 keys to happiness. And the first one is having a cadre of good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends are your chosen family. A friend is a gift that you give to yourself. Mm-hmm. James Rohn, a best-selling author, said you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Right? So we have to choose our friends carefully. So that's the first one. The second one is forgiveness. We harbor resentment or bitterness, we can't be happy. We can't hold a grudge. And the moment you decide to forgive, you see this enormous weight come off your shoulders and your back. The third is doing things for others. The fourth one, so I call it the 3 Fs. We call it the 3 Fs: friends, forgiveness, and for others. But the fourth one begins with G, and it's gratitude. And there's scientific evidence to back this up. There's the amazing Catholic nun study in which nuns joining Notre Dame, the ones who expressed gratitude when they were 23, in a simple 1-page note. 60 years later, their handwritings were authenticated, and the researchers showed that the ones who expressed gratitude, on average, lived 10 years longer. Lived in the same convent, nobody drank, nobody smoked, nobody was married, they ate the same food. That's pretty astounding.
Yes.
Right? And kids can express gratitude. We have exercises for kids, a game called Thorns, Buds, and Roses, or a gratitude journal. Simple things we can do to express gratitude. Robert Emmons, the father of modern positive psychology, has written a wonderful book called Thanks. And if every day, at the end of the day, we put down 3 things we're grateful for, in 6 weeks, the set point, which is genetic and relates to our happiness quotient, goes up by an astounding 25%.
The simple things of thought, of gratitude, and the emotions that it elicits can have such profound health effects. Again, that's why I say this book is such a treasure, because there's so much involved in here. You talked about the set point for happiness, the quotient H equals, is it C plus V plus S?
It equals S, which is set point, LC is living conditions, and VA is voluntary action. So 50% of our happiness is genetic, but we can modulate it by expressing gratitude, by exercise, by meditation, by behavioral cognitive therapy. So even that one is dynamic and fluid.
Right.
And only 10% is living conditions, whether we live in a mansion in Beverly Hills or in the shanty towns of Joburg or the slums of Calcutta. If we have running water and a roof, that's a lot of happiness there. And 40%, and that's again is astounding, is voluntary action. What we can do to make others happy. One of the best ways to be happy is to make others happy.
Absolutely.
And so our book uses that as a launching point to really talk about the fact that it's astounding. You can make a decision about how happy you wish to be. And so we describe the formula, and then we provide scientific evidence that exists on a whole range of issues that are ways you can boost your happiness quotient, and gratitude is only one. And through the book, we give you the evidence, we give you inspirational wisdom from the Buddha and ancient philosophers, we have poetry, and we give worksheets that actually help you work through exercises in your own identification of purpose. So it's an interactive book.
It is. I actually said, I was talking to a friend last night about the book, and I said, for me, it's a personal journal, because there's so much here that inspires through affirmations and poetry. And then there's action steps, and you write in the book. You can write directly in the book, and it's small enough to carry along with you. It is so timely right now. One of the reasons we have purpose as our pillar is because, quite frankly, I think it's the foundational piece to all other pillars. When people lack a sense of purpose or meaning in their life, things like nutrition and physical activity and all of those things can really be affected. And I'm wondering, do you hold that same value, that purpose is really the fundamental piece?
Yeah, Laurie, you've articulated it so beautifully. So when we talked about friends, forgiveness for others, and gratitude, those are keys to happiness. But happiness is more than the sum total of happy moments.
Yeah.
Right? And to have sustained happiness, we each have to find our purpose and live it. And the purpose doesn't have to be very bold and audacious. We have amazing stories of Papa Heine and Jennifer Staple and Mariah Smith and Adam Braun. But it could be very simple. One of my friends lives very close by, and we meet all the time. Lovely couple. She said, Sanjeev, my purpose is to be the best mother and grandmother for my children and grandchildren, and to tend my garden. Right? It's beautiful. That's a beautiful purpose.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to be daunted or intimidated by some of the stories that we tell in the book.
Yes.
And sometimes your purpose is really nothing more than being attentive to other people and paying respect and homage to the community of others with whom you share this time in life.
Which is part of that service piece, right? Very much so. There's a quote when you said one of my favorite quotes by Pablo Picasso: the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away.
Absolutely.
And I think that speaks so much to the service piece, but the challenging part in that is often finding your gift, right?
Yeah. So, also Voltaire, the French philosopher, he said, every man is guilty of all the good he did not do.
Ah.
Right? He also said, cherish those who seek the truth, but beware of those who find it. So one of the exercises we can do is for 30 days, take a 3x5 card. And at the end of the day, every day, write down the 2 or 3 things you did during that day. And then give it a grade from 1 to 10. 1 if you were really miserable, 10 if you were very, very lucky to be in bliss. At the end of the month, look at those cards, strike off everything between 1 and 5, and look at 6, 7, 8, 9, and say, wow, that resonated for me. That gave me a lot of happiness.
Mm.
That gave me a lot of joy. I
Mhm.
think my purpose is buried in there.
And not everyone is able to work in a mission-driven field. So say your cards indicate, say you don't have the bandwidth and the ability to work on those 3 things exclusively. In the book, we also suggest just things you can do to help boost your own purpose in little ways.
Mhm.
We have examples where you can pay for someone's coffee when you're in a Starbucks. Or Sanjeev, I know one of the things he did, which I started doing as well, we had a toll system here, and pay for the toll for the person
Ah,
behind you. Anonymous gifts that you give to others make you feel so good. And I remember someone once paid for my coffee in a Starbucks, and I didn't know who it was. And it happened 4 years ago, and I'm still telling that story.
yeah.
It generates such goodwill, and it creates a cascade of good feeling.
Yeah, that sense of just kindness, just unknown kindness is so important.
I
We
also
have,
want to mention, Laurie, that one way to get clarity about one's purpose in life is by having like-minded friends with core values with whom you have a lot of meaningful discussions, but also by meditation.
hmm,
One meditates, one gets grounded, one gets anchored. There's EEG coherence, there's increase in telomeres and telomerase. We live longer, we flourish, we become more compassionate, we become more kind. It's a very simple, effortless way to do it.
so oftentimes people will say, I don't have time to meditate. What do you say to something like that?
I was saying you should meditate once a day, and if you don't have time to do that, you should meditate twice a day.
Yes. And I think this whole concept of time is often a challenge. There was a participant that offered a question about, I know my purpose, but I feel like I don't have time to often live out my purpose. Um, so isn't that just a way of thinking how we perceive time and what we're doing in our daily lives?
So one of the things you'll find if you meditate, that the time will come. And
Mm,
this was my personal experience when I learned to meditate a couple of years ago. I thought I didn't have time to write this book. The meditation actually reconfigures how your brain functions, and the time will come. And I would argue for the people who say that you don't have time not to do that. And when
right.
you look at the benefits of have living a life of purpose and the benefits of being happy and self-identifying as happy, they're enormous. There's some budding evidence that shows people can live longer.
Mm,
We know that people are healthier, they have lower cardiac disease, we know they have less insomnia. There are a whole range of benefits, and once you start layering on that reality and that data,
mhm,
that there's a really strong case to be made that you need to find the time.
yeah.
You know, we can learn so much from ancient philosophers and modern day philosophers. So the ancient philosophers like Socrates, the ancient Greeks did not use the word happiness. They used the word eudaimonia, which
Yeah.
literally translated means human flourishing. So if we're happy, we'll flourish.
Mhm,
Albert Schweitzer said, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success.
yes.
And I think the modern day philosophers are the children. We can learn, they are so wise. They're uncluttered, it's all pure. You know, John Lennon, 5 years of age, goes to school, and the teacher gives the kids an assignment. Write down what you want to be when you grow up. And he writes happy and he hands it to the teacher. And the teacher says, John, you did not understand the assignment. At the teacher, and he says, and you don't understand life. 5 years of age, his mother had told him every night when she tucked him into bed, John, when you grow up, I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
5-year-old girl in Worcester, Massachusetts, asked by her mother, one of the deans at Assumption College, what is happiness? She answered right away, Mommy, happiness is when the heart feels bigger.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Exactly, exactly. Just one more question around meditation. So for people who maybe, again, feel they don't have time or they're just starting out and they're looking for small ways to begin to do this, what would you offer up to them?
In the book, we list a whole variety of forms of meditation, from TM all the way through mindfulness and being
Mhm.
attentive. Being attentive when you're eating, there's actually some philosophy around it's a form of weight control.
Right.
Be attentive to what it is you're putting into your mouth and thinking. Don't read the paper and watch TV. Enjoy and be present in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say the one caution I would say is don't try and learn meditation from a book or from an app. If I was going to learn tennis or to play the piano or to play golf, I'd go seek an instructor. And I think it's best to learn from a trained instructor.
Sure.
One of the best books right now on meditation is called Strength in Stillness. Strength in Stillness. And it's got all the scientific research as well as the anecdotes of many famous people that you and I would know
Yeah.
meditate and what it's done to their lives in terms of success and happiness, and clarity and wisdom.
I'm just going to stop for 1 minute because people, I'm hearing it's a little hard to hear you. You
Oh,
might need to either get closer or turn up a little bit on your volume.
sorry about that.
There is one question about how do we empower others or help to empower others in their sense of purpose and meaning in life?
I think it has to be by example. If you are leading by example, if they can see that.
Can you see us?
Can
Our
you see
screen
us?
has gone
Screen back and it said Mary Brighton.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Okay.
By example, right?
Yes.
If they watch you and they see you living your purpose, then it will rub off on them. You know, there's
Right.
an amazing story about Gandhi where this lady trudges 40 miles with her 12-year-old son. And she says, Gandhiji, my son totally adores and worships you. He's eating too much sugar. Would you please tell him not to eat sugar? So Gandhi looks at the boy and he's at the mother. He says, come back in 3 weeks. So they trudge back to the village. 3 weeks later in the heat, they come back and Gandhi looks at the boy and he says, son, give up sugar. It's not good for your health. The boy says, Gandhiji, from this moment onward, I have stopped eating sugar. And he leaves the room. And the mother stays behind and she says, Gandhiji, thank you for saying that to my son. But can I ask you a question? We were here 3 weeks ago and you could have said the same thing to my son then. And Gandhi whispers into her ear, at that time, I had not given up sugar. So we have to lead by example.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk, so modeling for sure. And you talk about the science of mirror neurons, which in some ways reflects this idea of modeling. Can you speak a little bit more about the science of the neurochemistry of happiness and mirror neurons and how that really helps us to understand and discover our own sense of purpose?
Yeah, so mirror neurons is, I think, one of the most fascinating discoveries in biology, discovered by an Italian scientist.
Right.
And we all know that you can go to a nursery and smile at a newborn or smile at an infant and they smile back. And we think, wow, how brilliant is this grand niece of mine or this kid of mine? But actually what's happening is the same neurons are firing as they are in you when you're smiling. To me, the most amazing story is that of phantom limb syndrome. Individuals who've had an amputation, let's say it's above the knee on the left leg,
Right.
missing that leg, but they're experiencing pain in that missing limb. You bring another person to sit 10 feet away, they casually read a book and massage left. And this individual with phantom limb syndrome watches this person and gets relief because the same neurons fire.
Yes.
So that is fascinating. So I think we can take advantage of that. When we smile at people, people smile back, right?
There is that expression, fake it till you make it, and it's more than that because we now know through science that if you're feeling down or feeling sad and you smile, it releases the endorphins and actually creates a whole chemical cascade that makes you happier.
Right.
There's a lot of studies. There's some really great TED Talks on body posture and how you can improve your confidence and happiness quotient just by how you stand and how you frame yourself.
Mm-hmm. So this is so important. I know many of the participants on the call today are in the healthcare field. So this idea of how we model our own sense of joy and happiness, and obviously we have a sense of purpose in our serving as healthcare professionals, but we also know in healthcare that physicians and nurses and others are starting to feel a great deal of challenges, I'll say, about being in their sense of purpose. But how important as we model, so if we're smiling and we're happy, we are a direct instrument in the healing of others. Is that correct?
That is absolutely true. And there are ways, even in your work environment, if it's a medical institution or a business, where you can introduce some of the concepts in our book. At Harvard, we have a program called Season of Giving, where each year, in addition to doing food drives in November and clothing drives, we produce note cards, and you're invited to write a note card expressing gratitude to someone in the work environment who did something kind for you. And the goodwill that generates really is a boost for an entire culture. And we know that happy people are more creative individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Also in the work environment, to have a place where you can sit silently for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, be mindful or do meditation, to have lots of water, some nuts, some coffee. We know coffee and nuts actually increase life expectancy. And expressing gratitude, like Gina said.
Right.
There's simple things we can do. Validating other people's worth, saying thank you. Simple things we can do to bring back joy into our work.
Right.
Doing it in the workplace, introducing it is really important. One of the things that I have been doing with my staff retreats for 30 years, I can't believe it's been that long, is at the end of our retreat, which we typically do once a year, no matter what team I'm managing, we have these flip charts and we write one word, each of us, about every person who's participating. And you leave the retreat with a one-page flip chart that has all of these inspirational things people feel about you and think about you. And mostly people hang them on their walls for the entire year, and it feels so good. And it just inspires collegiality and goodwill.
That's a great example. We also do an annual retreat, and every year we do something where we do a collective project. And this year we did affirmation cards. We each created an affirmation card, and everyone has received a box for themselves. So, and it does create a sense of community and connectedness, even when you're not physically present with each other.
Could I share an affirmation with you?
Yes.
I have it in the book. And I believe strongly that affirmations said in the morning are good. Today will be a great day. I'll be resolved to do good. You hit your head on the pillow as you're going to sleep. And neuroscience to back this up, that the brain thinks about it, that there's neuroplasticity, and that subconsciously the next day and the next month you're doing these things. So there's a wonderful affirmation, and in abundance, success, happiness, and love every day, and inspire others to do the same.
It's beautiful.
And there also is research that shows reminiscing is a very positive factor in boosting happiness. That if you sit with your friends or even colleagues and you remember fun, interesting, happy things that happened, it's a great way to sort of advance your sort of state of well-being.
Right. So much of this is about being really conscious, right? Being conscious about the decisions that you make. Those simple little tips that you were giving earlier, it's really being present with what's going on in your daily life. And as you said, meditation, whatever form where you can be fully present, just opens you up to be more conscious in your day. You talk about 7 simple steps to a happier you. Can you say a little bit more about that?
So Well, we talk about a whole range of things. We talk about, and we go into depth on the science, on music and on friendship, yoga, meditation. We talk about resilience and forgiveness. Forgiveness is a very important factor in terms of how you view the world. And we describe how you forgive and how forgiveness leads to resilience.
There's, as you were talking about the idea of mindfulness and its connection to purpose, I think about children, and we talked a little bit about children. We're working with schools right now, and I think at this time in life, when we have so much technology, that we're often distracted by being in the moment. And so, how do parents help their children? And I know part of that is modeling, but how do parents help their children really be present and understand their own sense of purpose and meaning in life at a young age?
I think parents and children should always have dinner together. And at that time, there is no electronic gadget in sight. I know of 4 young couples that recently went to a restaurant, and one of the young ladies, they were all looking at their iPhones, and one of the young ladies said to the waiter, "Could you please bring a bread basket without the bread?" So she brings it, and she says, "Everyone give me your iPhones." She puts it there, and she says, "Whoever checks the iPhone first is going to pay for the bill."
I love it.
Isn't that good? And it worked.
It's
So I'm starting to do this now. And we go out for dinner or lunch. No one's allowed to check their iPhones. You have a conversation. You can play the game Thorns, Buds, and Roses, which was taught to me by my younger granddaughter, Mira, when she was 7 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
New York. She said, "Nana, we're going to play a game before dinner." I said, "Sure, Mira, what's it called?" She said, "It's called Thorns, Buds, and Roses." I said, "I don't understand." She said, "I'll explain. My thorn for today is my cousin couldn't come for a play date. Thorn, negative. My bud is she's coming tomorrow. And my roses are, you took us this morning for breakfast, then you took us to Barnes & Nobles, you got me 3 books, and tonight after dinner, you're going to tell some amazing stories. You're such a good storyteller." So Thorns, Buds, and Roses, there's a ratio called the Losada ratio, which says that negativity is very heavily weighted. And if we say something negative, simply to neutralize it, we have to say 3 positive things. And if we say something negative to our spouse or significant other, we have to say 6 positive things to neutralize it. So this is a simple game that we can play at the dining table. And actually, the kids love it.
Sure. Yeah.
And even if you pick your children up from school and they're frustrated with something, try to have them think about something positive that happened. Put the screen time. I know you can't take away the phones and the games and all of that, but having some dedicated time where you are separate from that and really interact with the family.
One of the participants is just asking, what if someone is saying negative things to you? How do you respond to that?
I think we're going to say the same thing.
I think my take on that is, it's not a reflection on you, it's a reflection on them. They're coming from a place of being hurt. Something has happened currently or in their past life. And, you just let it flow. And you say, "I'm sorry you feel that way. If I did something to offend you, I apologize." And when you apologize, you never say, "But, you did that," right?
Yeah.
There's a wonderful saying, never ruin an apology with an excuse.
Can I say, actually, can I build on that with 2 things? One, and this is broader than even that, I have tried to eliminate the word "but" from my vocabulary, right? And I use the word "and." This happened, but, and every time I catch myself and I say "and," but to your point, you never know what battle other people are fighting.
Right.
And so they may be going through something very difficult. Maybe they're ill. Maybe they've had a fight with their spouse. Maybe they lost their job or they're under stress. And so when people are very negative, one of the best things to do is increase your positivity toward them.
Right.
And it may sound hard to do, but it's actually not very hard. And asking them, is there something I can do? Is there something that's bothering you? Did I do something? Maybe we do offend people without realizing we're doing it, and just asking for honest criticism. But you have to be secure when you say that. And I think that can be one of the greatest benefits.
So, Gina, when you said increasing your positivity, I'm
Mhm.
increasing your compassion.
Yeah.
Right? There's a wonderful saying,
Mhm.
compassion is a verb.
That's right. Yes. So we're actually almost out of time here. Any special or last minute that you want to offer up to the participants today?
Well, just that we're very grateful that you're interested in our book, and we hope you'll take a look at it and peruse it. You don't have to read it front to back. You can open it up and read it in any section, or just work on the worksheets. But the very fact that there is an interest in how to be happier and how to be more compassionate is just really wonderful.
We also have a website, the 2 most important days, starting with the letter 2. And we'd encourage everyone to visit it, to write down their purpose, to share with us amazing stories about their lives. So we want it to be interactive, and we want to learn from everyone out there.
And we have a Facebook page too, which is TWO Most Important Days. And we invite you to take a look at our Facebook page.
It's wonderful. Well, again, I just want to extend my gratitude for this time and this conversation, and certainly for the book. Again, to me, this book is a treasure. It's an active journal, and I'm just so thrilled that we had this opportunity to be together today. So thank you so much.
Lisa,
Thank
you're a
you.
wonderful
All the best.
interviewer.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you. All right, take care.
Thank
Take care.
you.